The first point that I want to make, this is a point I'm repeating because I had made it earlier in a video. I'll quickly make it and then I'll make new points. The first point is that any domain that you can think of, man-made domain, like painting, art, business, sports, warfare, any domain requires techniquing, which means discovery of governing principles or insights within that domain to optimize and to improve results. I'm calling this as techniquing. So the first point is these domains require discovery of technique. Related point is that these techniques are not given in any religious or God given manual. Human beings, passionate human beings, through their experience and through their motivation and their use of intelligence and sense making, they discover these techniques. For example, historically, people like Leonardo da Vinci, people like Don Bradman, scientists, all these people have discovered Napoleon, all these people have discovered what are the Bruce Lee, right? Insights of excelling in that particular domain, insights about that domain or techniques about that domain. This is what I'm calling as techniquing. So the first point is that techniquing is a must in a domain to improve or excel in that domain for better performance in that domain. That is point number one. Point number two is that there is tremendous scope for further techniquing, which means that we should not assume that all these techniques have already been, just pick any domain. We should not assume that in that domain the techniques have already, all the techniques, possible techniques have already been discovered. There is always room for discovering new and new techniques. To give an example, in tennis, recently modern forehand has come, right? Not recently, maybe 10-15 years back. In high jump, there were already 2 or 3 different techniques of high jump, but then Fosbury flop came in 1980s something or 90s or 80s, I think, right? So in business also new, I'm sure new techniques are coming, right? So in every domain, new techniques keep on coming, which means that it is bottomless. There are endless techniques in a domain. If not endless, maybe there are finite. I don't know, but we have just scratched the surface. We don't know how many techniques are there waiting to be invented. That is my point number two. Okay. Now the question is, why is it that the techniques, applicable or possible techniques in a domain, why are they so much, and why we have just scratched the surface? Why is it? So here I have an answer now, a partial answer, and the answer is that the context keeps on changing. For example, in sports, the technology of tennis, technology of racket manufacturing has changed, material science has changed, gutting material has changed, the ball technology has changed or material has changed, the court material has changed. Sometimes the rules get changed, for example, in cricket. Because of these reasons, the need for retechniquing arises. You have to change your technique, you have to think afresh. Another example from business domain is Bruce Henderson is an admirable person, founder of BCG. He discovered techniques about business. For example, BCG make a growth share matrix for corporate strategy. He also discovered experience curve. So he discovered all these governing principles of business, right? But now these are not applicable. Why? Because now conglomerates are not seen that much as we used to see earlier, like General Electric. Now we see independent companies because the regulation has changed, the market forces have changed, capital markets have developed more and more. So there is less requirement for a big conglomerate. So just let me summarize. First point, very, very important. Domain requires techniquing for human beings to excel in that. Second, there is no God-given manual of this techniquing, which means that onus is on us, and it's unending, or it is, there are so many techniques still to be discovered. We should not assume that whatever was to be discovered has been discovered in this domain. And the third point is that these, why do we need to do retechniquing? Even if we have discovered some techniques, those techniques need to be retechniqued. Why? Because the context keeps on changing. These are the 3 points. Thank you.